Let's talk about the ending of him, one of the most unhinged movies of the year, I think. Honestly, great film in my opinion. It does have its problems with its story, but overall, I enjoyed it a lot. This is the latest film from Justin Tipping. This is not directed by Jordan Peele. It is simply produced by Jordan Peele. Amazing performances from Marlon Wayans, Tyriq Withers. Also really like Julia Fox in this, but let's talk about the ending and what exactly happened here. So, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Keira Kelly, who I think did an incredible job here as a cinematographer. Really impeccable job as well. Really loved what Keira Kelly does here. I don't think we've given enough great admiration for this film, how it looks in a amazing manner. So this film is a Faustian tale of what happens when you push too much to become the greatest of all time, the GOAT. How do you become him? This movie is Faustian, like I say, where you have a deal where you trade your soul, your values with the devil in order to gain something. And in this film, we see that the main person that wants to gain something is Cameron Cade, played by Tyriq Withers, and he has to go through Elsie White, who is the legendary quarterback at the moment. Now, throughout the whole film, we see that Cameron goes to a sort of boot camp, quote unquote, that is actually more of a ritual taking place in order for Cameron to take the place of Isaiah now, who is apparently retiring from the league. However, what we see happens here is that Cameron actually makes a deal with the devil, or in this case, the people that own the league, well, the team in itself, the San Antonio Saviors, by the end of the boot camp, in order to take Isaiah's place. During this whole ordeal, a ton of shit goes down, including people losing their heads, and we see that Cameron drinks a red liquid that we later found out, of course, is actually Isaiah's blood. Then he awakens in an ice bath and he sees that there's an IV running through his blood which contains Isaiah's blood. When he goes to confront Isaiah about this, Isaiah explains that this is all part of manufacturing the GOAT. They pretty much get the blood of the previous people before them and so on and so forth. So this blood has been recycled for generations in order to keep making the next big thing, right? He tells Cam that the only way that one can go on further, either him or Cam, is that you have to kill. You have to fight to the death for this title. So him and Cam go at it. Eventually Cam is able to kill him and he comes off as the GOAT. Exiting the room, he sees that the saviors and the people that are like the owners have now produced a whole ritual upbringing for him. All he has to do is sign the contract. They reveal to him that Cam's father knew all about this from the beginning and he actually gave up Cam in order to be great, and he was going to be the one that was great. So pretty much what we find out is that everything had been orchestrated from Cam's life by the team in order for them to sort of groom him and lead him all to this moment right here. It's sort of implied that these powerful people behind the saviors also maybe orchestrated Cam's father's death in order for Cam to not abandon football, because Cam eventually talks about that moment in his life when he almost let go of football and wanted to pursue something else, but then his father's death happened and that sort of brought him back into the game and wanting to be the greatest, to not let his father down. So Cam's whole life has just been sort of molded for him by these people who just want to use him as a puppet of sorts in order to gain their own wealth. And I thought that the movie was interesting in that aspect, that we see that all of these corporations and these big timers, these owners of these football clubs, make all of the billions. The players, of course, make some good money. Some of them become superstars and legendary, but it's still not equivalent to how much the people that own the team make or the people higher above, right? They're still being used as puppets. They're the ones that are putting their bodies on the line, clashing each and every night, destroying it, leaving the field by the end of their career battered, broken, and destroyed. And then the owner of the team's just cool, sitting at the top, not doing shit. And then in comes the new hot thing, and they're gonna use them again, and they recycle these people like nothing. Isaiah was just left to die there, be killed, and like nothing. Nobody cared anymore. And we see that Cam knows that this would be his fate ultimately, so he decides to cut off the cycle of abuse at this point and not do their own bidding. This is the reason we see that Cam doesn't sign this contract and actually kills the rest of the people here, except for his agent, but the agent is then dragged into the pentagram, seemingly gets sacrificed to whatever higher entity or lower entity if we're talking about demons, and just gets completely obliterated. And we see that he just goes out of the facility, seemingly going to make his own destiny now. Cameron is done with being told what he should or shouldn't be or do, by these people that are in control, that are in power, and now he is the one that is in control, and he's going to forge his own destiny, which I thought was a great way to end this film. I said in my review that I thought the ending to the film was a little bit too random and thrown in there. I really did like it as a separate thing, just seeing this guy completely destroy these rich assholes, but still it just felt a little out of place as well. But I thought it was such a great film about the dangers of wanting to be the greatest and all of that, sacrificing so much to get to that, and then you get to it and you realize maybe it's not all it was cracked up to be, and you're just like, yeah, maybe this wasn't the best idea for me, which I thought was a great way of showcasing this. Throughout the film as well, you see many instances where Isaiah has these crazy ass fans that are just worshiping him and doing whatever it takes and not wanting him to be replaced. And I think that's a lot of what we see today in our society as well. People idolize, have these parasocial relationships with celebrities, micro-influencers, sports athletes, politicians, and they sort of see them as God of sorts. And we see that these people are at the whim of whatever Isaiah wants, even at one point wanting to kill Cam because they feel that Cam will replace Isaiah. So I thought that was a great way to showcase that as well. And I think it's just a film about how we see, not just in football and the NFL, but also the NBA and other sports teams like that, even in college sports where the college athletes don't make money off of what they do, because a lot of times they don't get the money from advertisers and all of that are putting a ton of money. And recently we've seen a lot of these college sports events become really big. Some of them even are more viewed than the league events, and the athletes there don't get anything, and they're the ones putting their bodies on the line, and they're the ones that are performing, but it's the guy at the top, the owner, that gets it, the school or the league, whatever, right? So I thought it was such a cautionary tale about that, and for people that sort of dive into this. But by the end, I think that Cam was able to break that cycle. Everything in his life had been orchestrated by the league, by the owners, because they wanted to make the next big hot thing. So they orchestrated everything in his youth up until his father's death as well. Even the injury I believe he got during the beginning of the film, in order for him to come and train with Isaiah, it was a grooming method that they used in order to make him like their own puppet. And it was almost working until Cameron, I think, had a snap back to reality and realized what this all was and didn't want any part of it. So really great ending to this movie, I think. And I really would have loved if this movie had a little bit more of a cohesiveness, especially towards the middle and end of it. But still, it was great to watch. Let me know what you think about the ending. What do you think it's talking about? We can talk more about symbolism and stuff like that if you want, because there's a ton of it throughout the film. But I just thought it was such a great ending for sure. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on it. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. 50,000 subscribers is the goal. Let's get to it. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.